Let's have a look at some examples now of metric unit conversion. And metric units are sort of your typical centimeters, millimeters, micrometers, kilograms, grams, milligrams, tons. They're all examples of metric units. So when converting from one metric unit to another, I think the first thing you need to ask yourself is this: are we going from a sort of a large unit of measure to a smaller unit of measure, or the other way around? So if we're converting, for example, 2.7 kilometers to centimeters, first things first, your intuition will tell you that there's a lot of centimeters in kilometers. We're expecting a pretty big number, okay? So if you're expecting a very large number, it's going to be multiplication that you need to do, okay? So it's just about that little bit of common sense. Using a little bit of real life experience, you know that a centimeter's quite small, a kilometer's very large, so there's going to be a lot of centimeters in that. First things first though, 2.7 kilometers, it's probably easier to convert it into meters first, and then we convert it into centimeters. Okay, so 2.7, okay, so we're going to times that by 1,000, sorry, because kilo means 1,000 of, and we get 2,700 meters. Okay. The next thing now is to convert meters into centimeters. Now the word centi, or the prefix centi, means 100 of, okay, or there's going to be 100 of these units in 1 meter. All right, so so we have to multiply that again by 100 to convert meters into centimeters. So 2,700 meters. Okay, we're going to multiply that by 100 to convert it into centimeters. So we're just going to add another 2 more zeros. Okay, so the answer is 270,000 centimeters. Okay, so it's a 2-step process when converting, or could even be a 3-step process really. Just depends on from what unit to what unit. Okay, so what we're doing is that we're basically down converting it step at a time, down converting kilometers to meters, and then meters into centimeters. Let's have a look at part B. 730 milliliters to kiloliters. This time around though, instead of going from a large unit of measure to a small unit of measure, we're going the other way around. So kiloliters is a huge unit of measure. So 1 kiloliter, there's a lot of milliliters in a kiloliter. That's 1,000 liters. All right, it's a cubic meter. So if you want to sort of visualize it. So instead of multiplying basically by 100 or by 1,000, we're going to be dividing instead. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert the milliliters into liters first, then we're going to convert liters into kiloliters. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little dividing line there. Okay, so first things first, let's convert it into liters. So 730 milliliters. Okay, we're going to divide that by 1,000. Okay, after all, there's 1,000 milliliters in 1 liter. Milli is 1,000th. Okay, so there must be there's 1,000 of these in 1 liter, and we're going to get 0.73 liters. Okay. Now the next is to convert liters into kiloliters. Okay, so 0.73. We're going to divide that again by 1,000. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to move the decimal place, another 3 steps. So I'm just going to put a few zeros, okay, and 73. The decimal point is originally here, 1, 2, 3. So the decimal point ends up here, okay, and that unit is kiloliters. Okay. Right, let's have a look at part C. Okay, I'll just move the board up a little bit. 2.3 days to minutes. Again, we're going now from a large unit of measure to a small unit of measure. There's there's lots of minutes in 1 day. So again, if you just ask yourself that question, when you're converting from one to another, are there lots of these, lots of minutes in a day? It's going to be multiplication. So that's a good way to determine whether, do you multiply by a number, or do you divide by a number to convert between one unit or another. Okay. So 2.3 days. Well, let's convert that into hours first. So 2.3. Okay. How many hours are there in a day? Well, there's obviously 24 hours. Okay. So 2.3. Okay. So now on your calculator, 2.3 times 24. Okay. We got 55.2. Okay. Hours. Okay. Little h there, so it means hours. Okay. Now we're going to convert hours into minutes. Okay, so again, we're down converting days to minutes as 1 step at a time. Okay, you can do it all in 1 step if you want to, but it's generally more error prone. Okay, it's simpler to look at it a step at a time. So 55.2 hours. Okay, and there's 60 minutes in an hour. Okay, so taking that value there, multiply that by 60, and we get 3312, 3,312 minutes. Okay, so 2.3 days is 3,312 minutes. Okay, 36 milligrams now to tons. All right, so we're going from a small unit of measure to a large unit of measure. So again, part D is a bit like part B. We're going to end up with a decimal, okay, a very small decimal. 36 milligrams is a very, very small amount, okay, very, very tiny amount. Tons is huge, okay, so there's lots of milligrams in a ton, okay, lots. So we've only got a very small amount there, so let's convert milligrams into grams first. Okay, so 36, we're going to divide that by 1,000, since there's 1,000 milligrams in 1 gram, okay, and that gives you 0.036 grams, okay. All right, so now let's convert grams into kilograms, so 0.036, we're going to divide that by another 1,000, so 0.036. Sometimes it just helps to do that on a calculator. You know what the answer is going to be, but just to get the right number of decimal places to get that correct. So we've got 0.000036, and that's kilograms. Okay, so again a very, very small number, and now kilograms into tons. Okay, so 0.000036. We're going to divide that again by another 1,000. Okay, moving a decimal point another 3 places. Okay, so, and we end up with a very, in fact, I might have to write it down here. So how many zeros have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros. 36, and that's in tons. Okay. Later on, when we look at scientific notation, we could be converting micrograms to tons, for example. Why would you do that? Well, don't know. I mean, there could be a situation where you could use it. Who knows? That doesn't mean it can't be done, but we need to have a better way of writing these decimals that seem to go on for a very long time. There's lots of zeros, and there is a more efficient way of writing this, and we'll look at this in a different video. Last example. I did mention in a previous video that there, the 2 main systems of measurement at the moment in the world today. We've got the Imperial System, which is mainly used in the United States, and we also have the metric system, which is mostly used in countries such as Australia, New Zealand, and a lot of European countries. So this one's sort of for a bit of fun. All right, 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. There are 12 inches to a foot, 3 feet to a yard, and 1,760 yards to a mile. Okay, so anyone, if you travel to the United States, it's good to know this. Okay, a lot of their street signs obviously are in miles or in fractions of a mile. This is the more common unit of measure of length in the United States. Calculate how many meters there are in 1 mile. Okay, so how would we do something like this? Okay, and I guess maybe at this point, maybe if you want to pause the video, you can give it a go if you like, and see if you can come up with the solution. I'm going to start the solution now. So I'm going to work out, for example, if there's 1 inch, 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. There are 12 inches to a foot. So how many centimeters is that? Okay, so all right, 1 foot is equal to 12 times 2.54. Okay, 12 inches. Okay. In a foot, and 2.54 centimeters. So this one I certainly will be using a calculator for, times 2.54. Okay, and you've got 30.48. 30.48 centimeters. That's 1 foot. Now, how much is a yard? So we've got 1 yard. Okay, is equal to 3 feet. Okay, so 3 times. So basically what I'm doing is I'm using imperial on one side and I'm converting it into metric on the other. Okay, so 3 times 30.48. Okay, times 3. Okay, so previous answer times 3, and I get 91.44 centimeters. Now, a lot of sports, or many sports, still use yards. Okay, so it's good to know that a yard is just a little bit less than a meter. All right, so I think we're starting to get a grasp as to if there's 1,760 yards to a mile, and a yard is quite close to a meter, we know that the answer is going to be pretty close to 1,760 meters. Okay, so we won't be too far off from that. Okay, now finally we've got 1 mile. Okay, so 1 mile is equal to 1,760 yards, but a yard is 91.44 centimeters. Okay, so 91.44 multiplied by 1,760, and we get 160,934.4, and that's in centimeters, but we want that value in this length in meters. Okay, so we're going to divide that by 100 to convert it from centimeters to meters. Okay, so all we're going to do is going to move the decimal point over 2 places. Okay, so 1609.344 meters. Okay, and if you want that in kilometers, that's 1.61 kilometers to 3 significant figures. Okay, or 3 significant. Sorry, I just can't fit that there. 3. So it's around 1.6 kilometers. Okay, so when you talk about a quarter mile, for example, or 1/4 of a mile is roughly around the 400 meter mark.